Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me at Evolutionary Energy Arts once again. Can you guys hear me? And are you able to see everything okay? Good, good. Well, thank you guys for showing up. Just curious, how many of you guys got notifications? Because I don't think anybody's getting any notifications. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. So, open floor, my friends and family. Whatever you guys want to talk about. We do have open lines, and that's the call-in number. Well, I'm glad you guys did. Yeah, it looks like some of you guys did get it. Oh wow. Is this Cher?
Yes, this is Cher.
How are you, Cher? How are you?
Good, good. How are you? I'm used to hearing your voice, but you're not used to hearing mine, so.
So it's my pleasure.
Well, thank you. No, I was excited about getting to call. I know you have it during the week sometimes, the call in, but I'm working. I work full time, so my weekdays are really busy. So I was really glad to see that it was at a time that I could call. And I also wanted to wait until it was something I had time to process, so it would be hopefully something that would be interesting, at least. I don't know, maybe it's kind of crazy because it started with a dream. I had a dream of a blue star, and this is about a couple of months ago. I've heard of the blue star Kachina, but I didn't really make a connection in the dream. I just thought, wow, this is really weird. And I'm thinking in my dream, as I'm dreaming it, a blue star. Oh, that's a brand new baby star, right? And that's what I thought. Well, it was taking the place of our current sun that we have. And I thought, well, I got to find out more about this. When I woke up, the first thing I wanted to do was research, is a blue star a new born star, or is it an old star that's getting colder? Because I think I had, and then I thought, well, when you put you see a candle flame and you can pass your finger through the blue portion of the flame because it's cooler. But I wasn't sure if it was the same with stars. So I did some research, and there are different, I guess, schools of thought maybe about, like, some stars can be blue and they could be new. But I just felt, and I waited for a long time, like meditated and prayed, like, what does this mean? Like a puzzle I wanted to solve. And then I started to realize, okay, I think there's weird things happening with our sun, for sure. Some people think there's a sun simulator, and maybe sometimes there is and sometimes there's not. Who knows? That's like really out there on the fringe, so I don't talk about that with too many people.
Right.
But so I'm thinking, okay, so that's possible that that's happening, but it's also possible that our sun is cooling down, and they are trying to mitigate that with some form of simulated sun, or to prevent everybody from freaking out and us having no photosynthesis happening without vegetation. So as I meditated more on it, and I realized, okay, then what could be the worst thing that happens? If this is true and our sun is growing colder and we're going to need to have a new sun, you can't have a simulated sun forever, if that is the case. and I don't know. But I started thinking, well, what if it was only a short time that it just went from, like, in cycles, just like our sun probably started out red and then went from red to orange throughout the cycles of many years, and then to yellow, and now it's white. I mean, sometimes you can see the sun be yellow at sunset and sunrise, but when it's right there at that midday, it looks white to me, and I know other people have noticed that and commented that it's white. So what if it changes to blue and then it goes dark? Like, would that be the end of the world? I don't think so, because I honestly think that it's kind of parallel with this event, this solar event that many people talk about, and scientists even research it, and they explain it, that there's actually a cosmic, a galactic center where all of the universe is affected by this, and these electromagnetic filaments come from there, and they hit us, and they do things to Earth. But at some point in time, if we were to get, like, the sun goes dark and we get a second sun, and it's funny because, like, it's kind of along that Zeitgeist movie. It wasn't really the second coming of the S-O-N of God, but the S-U-N of God.
Right.
That's certainly debatable. I'm sure that will, like, upset some people. But anyway, but I just had a piece about it, because if it's true that this second sun has all this amazing cosmic energy, and it has the power to transform our DNA so that we are getting an upgrade and we change from a carbon-based body to a plasma light body, and all of Earth changes. I don't know when it will happen, or if I'm correct. I don't know when, but definitely I do understand the process of how it could happen. But I really think it's not to be feared. It's not. I think it's good news, because it's not like a judgment, the apocalypse, the end of the world. Because in my mind, it's an apocalyptic, which means that unveiling.
Right.
So it's an unveiling of a golden age of enlightenment, I believe. Or maybe I just want to intend that. And if everybody else is on the same page that intends the same thing, then maybe this event that I keep hearing about and that is discussed, and maybe other people have some thoughts about it too that can share, and maybe you do, but I do have an assurance that it could really be a good thing. It maybe won't last long, and I don't think it will necessarily mean that we are freezing to death, because the inside of the Earth has a lot of heat in it. You really know that the core of the Earth is just red hot. So the only thing that would happen is there would be no photosynthesis for however many days the sun went dark. But I just believe that a new sun will be coming. I just do. An S-U-N, not necessarily the Jesus typology. I know some Christians really believe that, and that's okay, because maybe when they get the S-U-N, they'll be happy too. They'll say that God did it no matter what, and that's all cool. But anyway, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a positive thing overall. Of course, as we've obviously seen, there's so many wild and crazy and really horrific events taking place, but it's a transition period. It definitely is a transition period, and I think there's so many hints, and I don't know if it's just people in the know giving us clues through movies and things like that, or if it's our collective subconsciousness working together. But it's like all these movies out there, like we were talking about that one Netflix movie, and then the other night I was watching one called The Beyond, and it was a case where there was all of a sudden this wormhole that shows up right next to the Earth, and an astronaut from the ISIS, or from the space station, gets sucked up into it, and you think, okay, is it going to be alien invasion or what have you? But really, and I hope I don't blow it for you guys. I don't know if I should tell you how it goes or not, but but you know what? It's like it just shows. It did a good job at showing our mindset, our military mindset, because of course everybody wants to attack things as soon as they show up, and and the outcome was actually a very positive one, a huge positive one, and it turned out that everything that we were fearing, as being evil, was actually benevolent and protective. And so it gets you thinking about, go back to 2001 and 2010. Do you remember the sequel to 2001, 2010? That old movie? That it's pretty old. It's like 20 years old, I think, now. And of course, 2001 was back in the 60s. But
the Space Odyssey 2001.
Yes, the Space Odyssey 2001. Well, the sequel 2010 is all about a second sun. And there you go, And it was interesting because in the movie, I believe it was Jupiter that basically turns into another sun and becomes, so we have two suns in the sky, and all the moons of Jupiter become planets. And we're told by this higher intelligence, they're all ours except for Europa. And Europa is the curious one because it's all frozen ice, and there probably is life down inside, underneath those frozen oceans of ice. So we're told don't go there, but we could go and use all the other ones. And so ultimately Jupiter becomes the second sun. And in the book, it was actually Saturn that it basically ignites and becomes the second sun. But there again, it's more of that same thought. And in this movie, again, last night they were seeing a second sun, and I've seen a second sun in several other movies. I think there's that it's either in the back of all of our minds or they're letting out things. They're getting us ready to these ideas. And there's definitely huge, huge things coming. Huge. And it could be that these things, like I had said before, perhaps, they're already there and we're just rising up into a frequency where we could actually see them. Because the planet's going through a vibrational increase in frequency, it's going through ascension, just like we are as we're going up. And some people faster than others. So some people are seeing and experiencing way more than others are because we each kind of go at our own pace. But everybody is getting affected by these energies that are coming in. And it's pretty wild too, because it did trigger some memories of me of two suns that I didn't really remember before, and I'm not sure if they were from dreams or from meditation. So as I've shared with everybody before, though, my daughter, when she was 8, she saw a big red huge planet type thing in the sky, and it scared her so bad, and it actually was sucking people up to it. People were actually getting picked off the earth and being pulled all the way up through the sky up into that other planet. And it was pretty fascinating, that she had that dream at like 8 years old, because she didn't know anything about blue and red Kachina. So and it always terrified her. And then she had dreams of tsunamis, and she just will never be around the coast. So she lives, inland, where we grew up on the coast. So yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. I think ultimately it's a positive thing because we get out of this, Kali Yuga, we get out of this, dark age, and we head into one of enlightenment, and it's part of that cycle that we always go through, which is really just interesting, so fascinating.
Yeah, we just don't have any real records to know what it was like if it happened before in the past. It would have been so many millions of years ago that we don't have any data to confirm or deny what it would be like. But yeah, definitely something afoot, whether it's the Biru system, whether it's just the whole the climate phase, whether it's going into the solar minimum and we have a mini ice age like you talked about that, or something. I mean, just like the wildlife and animals know when there's a storm coming, humans know if we get in touch with more with nature and be more grounded and pay attention and more mindfully aware of what's going on. Like even the trees that are, it seems like they're falling before they change color. And I know that I'm just kind of a geek and I notice all these little pinpoints on the trees, the leaves, like maybe they've always been like that, and I just never noticed it. And now we live in the forest and that's all I see. I'm more in tune with it, but I don't know if that's ever been the case. So could that be some kind of solar dust or, cosmic dust kind of laser things on the leaves? I don't really know.
I think the energies are definitely different, and I think everything is mutating. It's not just our DNA that's mutating. Honestly, it's the weirdest thing because we just moved into this place, and I've talked to you about it.
Yeah,
And
Western North Carolina. Welcome to Western North Carolina.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And there's this one bee, and I had a client today, and I'm talking to her, and the bee is following me around everywhere. From one doorway to the other, and it's the oddest looking bee I've ever seen. And I've lived in the Carolinas before, though not in this particular area, but I've lived, a couple hours away from here before. And I've never seen a bee that looked like that. And my client immediately said, it's a drone. And, it was like, well, maybe it is, or maybe it's a mutation. I don't know. But the thing was so intelligent looking. It sounds crazy,
Wow.
but
Like
it was
tiny?
just, it was like
Like a micro drone, if it was that?
it was only maybe an inch long, but it almost looked like a sweat bee, but like two sweat bees attached together. But just looking at the eyes, it was really weird because I could see it. I could see that, maybe it was a drone, but I don't think anybody would watch me that closely. Or perhaps it's just some sort of mutation, but boy, it felt intelligent. And that
Wow.
same bee is like followed us around for several days now. It just seems to pop up and just interesting looking.
Well,
But
a friend of mine that does live on the coast of North Carolina said that after the hurricane, bees came out from everywhere. So I'm just now remembering that she said that, just since you're saying it. I wonder, wow, it's just weird. But yeah, things could be mutating. Something with the weather, the harp, the sun. Gosh, there's so many theories.
yes,
It could be, but yeah. So well,
Serendipity says a slaughter bot. I sure hope not. I've seen those things. That's scary stuff.
yeah.
But yeah,
But
there's definitely changes for sure, and everything is going to change. So everything that we were used to, we could say goodbye to because it's definitely changing. We could obviously see that.
yeah, I mean, sometimes you want to get it can be frightening. I think a lot of people can be really, like your daughter was, afraid of it, and golly, people getting sucked up into the sky. I mean, again, that's a kind of event that in the Christian Bible they talk about the rapture, that people think that's a good thing that's going to happen. And I don't know, but I don't believe in it, but it's I don't um, I'm an agnostic as far as that stuff goes. But anyway, I just think that so like the way the moon looks so much larger and the supermoon events like that, it could be other forces in the peripheral of our solar system causing things to have to shift and causing climate and causing, there's so many different possibilities. So I don't know. I think I probably need to let somebody else chime in there, but anyway, it's really good to talk to you and see if anybody has any thoughts to share on this
Well,
vast possibilities.
thank you so much for calling in, Cher, and I did try out that restaurant you told me about today. So, and it was excellent. Just to share that with you.
Oh yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was
And
great. I loved it. It
oh
was
yeah.
just perfect.
I know. That's like my favorite. Just I could eat every day. But yeah, but I guess we are powerful inside. So I just want to leave that thought out there to not be frightened, even if it is scary. Grid going down, sun going dark. What are we going to do? We're lots of horrible weather disasters, but we are so powerful that I really think that it's easy to forget that, or not believe it, want not to own it and embrace it, because we can make changes happen even when it looks like it's impossible. I just think that's something to keep in mind. So anyway, well, thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to hearing the rest of the show.
Well, thank you so much for calling in and sharing. It was wonderful, and it's good to talk to you, and great thoughts. And I do agree, and I think most of our people out there agree as well.
That's good to know. It's comforting.
Definitely.
Okay, well, take care.
You too, Cher. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And all good thoughts. And yes, some of you guys are talking right now about the next big event, and I do agree. I really, really, really feel that, yeah, we're going to be getting that solar event. And maybe it's not the solar event that takes the grid out for an indefinite period of time, but something is coming like that. And I think that's part of why I felt such an urgent need to get settled in, like right away. And so I've been working like a madman, just taking time to do a video and do some research, but otherwise just getting settled in, because you could feel that the changes are upon us right now. And it's really very, very, it's just obvious to those of you that are fully awake and sensing this. And we do have an open line if anybody wants to give a call in. So many things going on right now. And we have Myra Starr wants to talk about the red tide in Florida. And I did have one of my subscribers that lives up in the Panhandle say that it was reaching her up in the Panhandle now. And I'm not sure if anybody else has experienced that. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Hello, Michael. It's Rick.
Ray, how you doing?
I'm doing actually fantabulous. How about you?
Tired but doing good. Feel mentally in a really good place.
Why would you be tired, Michael? What happened? The moving, or is it because of the energies?
No, it's the moving. It's I've moved a lot in my life. I was just like last night before I was falling asleep, I was just counting them in my head, and I've had 20 moves in the last 11 years. So quite a few moves.
You're catching up to me, dude. I just went all across the states, and here you are catching up to me.
Yeah, well, as I shared, I used to basically I used to work a job where I would be 4 to 6 months in a place and then told to go to another place and pick a spot. So, that's what I did for a while. And, so I just kept stuff basically packed in those plastic totes. And, a lot of it just stayed in the totes, and I would just move them from one place to another.
What do you have, like a moving truck? You just stack it to the roof?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Smart
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
You're
Very used to move.
colors, man. Wow. I bet you are used to moving. Ooh, I'm ecstatic just listening to the last caller. Oh my goodness. Sounds like to me someone's third eye has been busted wide open.
Yes. Yeah, she's a wonderful lady that is actually a new neighbor. So it's pretty cool. I mean, neighbor in that we're maybe an hour and a half away, but that's neighbors basically down here.
Absolutely. Well, everybody's going to see it a different way. As we all know, we're all creating reality. And I feel that it's important to stress the fact that people understand that we are creating our own reality. And this what's going to happen is not going to be bad, no matter who you are, how you see it. I'm just convinced, and after having an experience today, let's just call it that, and vibrating higher than I think I can't even explain it, brother. It was, I went so high, I think, that I felt alone. Have you ever felt like that before?
Oh yeah. No, I totally get it.
Okay, cool. I was kind of, and then I had the directed energy weapons, and they tried to attack. But here's the deal. Everybody has a piece of truth. We are all truth. We are all God beings. We are all the great I am. Now, truth is scattered everywhere, and you can spend your entire life searching and seeking and seeking and seeking for truth. If you quiet your mind, if you can control your emotions, conquer them, conquer your mind, and go within, you can find your truth. You could find how, by connecting with your higher self, by connecting to the collective of everyone's higher self, divine, collective, universal, collective, however you see this, you just quiet your mind, go within. However you see meditation, because I'm sure people have tried, and I'm speaking generally here, have tried many, many, many forms of meditation. I have a problem sitting still, closing my eyes, and trying to meditate. It just didn't work for me at first. I did it by thinking on a certain topic while at work, or listening to one of my favorite bands. And then you have these thoughts that just randomly pop in your head. Well, these aren't random. You have circumstantial thoughts that just pop into your head. These are not random. This is communication. This is a form of communication. And if you're connected to someone, if you're thinking about someone, and these thoughts pop into your head, that is called telepathy. That is the future. That is going to be the new internet. It is brain-to-brain communication, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I think, part of it is the energies coming in, rewiring our DNA. Because if you look at it, I think that pre-Tower of Babel, I think when we spoke one language, there's evidence that it was more than just verbalizing the same language. Perhaps we were, more telepathic. Perhaps we had more DNA active than we do, or we have had for this past, whatever it is, 12,000 years, 20, who knows how long it's been, since we got into this state. Because, there's... Atlantis. The more I think about it, and there was other civilizations, prior to Atlantis as well. But we're getting reconnected. We are, and it was so obvious to me because I'm an energy worker, right? And I could tell you that 6-7 years ago, say 4 to 6 years ago, the amount of people that could easily sense energy was nowhere near it was, say, 1 to 2 years ago, and that is nowhere near it is today. It's increasing. Everybody is, just increasing in their ability to sense, feel, manipulate energy. We're all raising upwards in our vibratory levels.
Right. The collective is the majority of the collective is bringing the collective online. Because as more of us come online, we resonate energies, and by our fruits, others can see, a tangible change, a tangible feeling. You know what I mean? It's people are tired of this oppression. They're tired of debt slavery. They're tired of confusion in religion, and they're seeking. And we have been seeking, but they've been stifling every turn. They have been, 12 steps ahead because there's a bigger picture, a Kundalini today. First, I thought I had a Kundalini before, but no, this was definitely an experience that is up there and my favorite experiences ever. It clarity, divine clarity. If I want to talk, if let's just say someone wanted to talk to the Palladians or the Arcturians, they're listening. They are talking. It's just, have you quieted your mind and are you aware of the communication? Now, in my opinion, what's going to happen shortly, I don't know if you want me to even converse on this, but as far as the blackout, it's not going to be EMP related. That's been avoided and diverted. It is going to be a social media blackout to force everyone to mainstream media to hear, their side of the truth as far as what's happening politically. Now, there is a person in politics who is a catalyst, and a catalyst he has been. And as these things move forward in coincidence with the equinox, it is the fall of the cabal. It is done. There's nothing that can be undone. You see what I'm saying? The Grand Central Sun is pounding our sun, and it is upgrading humanity. There's not much you can do about it. It's happening. It is the golden age. And people are going to have their third eyes opening without even realizing, and that's why you probably have an influx on your channel, because people, you're calling them, Michael. Your higher self is calling these people. You know what I mean? And they feel it. They feel a pull to your channel because you are love and light. I mean, you are the embodiment of love and light.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. I wish I could hold that energy, 24/7, 365. With everybody, it's always a work in progress, but it's having that desire in your heart, to always be helping.
It's when you can understand that your imagination is the language of your higher self. They have lied to us. Your imagination, confirmation, is key. It is communication. Do not believe the negative stuff anymore. If it is not love, it is false. But you know this. If it does not feel good, throw it away. If it confuses you, throw it away. But what I've had to do is taste, and yes, I was on the Bureau News, I saw that in chat. I've had to taste a little bit of everything to find out what resonates. And in these times, it is good to seek inside, because disinformation this is the disinformation age, is it not?
Yes.
And I mean, we're getting to the point where soul families are gathering. They are talking to each other telepathically without even knowing it yet. Higher selves are pulling other, physical avatars together. I mean, this shift is about to happen. I mean, I may have time a little miscue, because when you are in 5D up to 12D pretty much every waking hour, you no longer have a resonance with time. It just doesn't make sense anymore. But you can feel it, brother. It is everything to do with this equinox. From the equinox forward, it's portal after Stargate, you know what I mean? And that has to do with the moon, the alignment of Saturn, Mars. Should I shut up?
No, I agree totally. And I think, one of the things gets lost in the mix, which I know you're really well aware of, is that there's so much help on the other side that, there's beings that are positive beings that are pulling for us. They really are.
Oh.
But the positive beings won't get involved because they believe in free will. So you have to basically, you have to ask for help. and even at that, they will still obey the laws of free will. Whereas the more malevolent ones that are all in, as we know, if you're looking at it according to the law of one, there's service to self and service to others. You're on one side or the other, basically, and so service to others leads back to source, leads back to God. Service to self, it pulls us away from God, away from source. So it's what that's really the key. If you just have to have, you operate out of love and compassion, and everything will start to fall into place. Of course.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
No, you're right. I was saying yes. I'm agreeing with you 100%.
Yeah, I mean it does, but of course then the dark forces don't want that, because the darker forces are all about service to self. And the part that is obvious is that as these energies hit us, we're all changing. So everything kind of gets to be obvious, and more people wake up, and more people, you could just look at things and just, it's like watching that guy, well, he wasn't really a weatherman, but he was a reporter. He's out there and he's struggling in the wind, and then all of a sudden two people walk by strolling by texting, and they're fine. That's how all the mainstream looks to us now. It's just so obvious that it's almost like you could watch it and just start cracking up laughing, because it's just so hilarious.
Well, since this is a quarantine planet, and since the benevolents are hovering above and have been here, what was the plan? The plan was to reincarnate from the inside out, infiltrate. And that's what we've done. We are the Christ consciousness coming online. And it said Jesus is coming back. Well, all of us are Jesus. We are all the great I am. We're doing it from the inside out. And it's already done. Love has conquered all. Ashtar has given them the ultimatum. You either surrender or you're done. And that is the same thing as above as what's going on below with the politics. You either surrender or you're done, So, I mean, hello.
It's a million.
We got this.
A million points of light coming online all across the globe. And so that's what it is. And so many of us, we came here on purpose for a mission. And so we know that. And you know what? They recognize those people that are part of the mission here. They recognize it. I've had multiple people kind of recognize the energies that are with me, in me, and through me. And there's so many of us that come here for this purpose, because we want to help everybody get to that next level and to shed the conditioning that we've been all hammered with since the time we're a little baby. The conditioning that keeps us locked into this mindset of duality, and that competitive mindset where we're always at odds against each other. And that's how they can maintain control. That's how you have such a small number of them controlling everything.
One more thing. What's really cool is when you, let's say, you pass away and then you reincarnate, your higher self has accumulated all of these experiences and kept them in your subconscious. So when you come back, you're where you left off. So let's say someone who's been around for quite some time, like an ascended master that keeps reincarnating, and they're aware that they're an ascended master that's reincarnating, they figure out that they have abilities that are unspoken of, unheard of, and that's when it starts getting fun. Just saying hypothetically, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But, hey, good job. I felt you tingle my crown, so definitely that was a good one. You shot me with some energy. I appreciate that. And, all I got to say is love wins. Love's already won. Get in line. Get in line with love. Does not matter what label you label it. Love. 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 And that's it.
That's beautiful. It's pretty simple when you get down to it.
It really is. That's why the children will be teaching this soon.
Exactly.
All right, my friend.
Always a pleasure.
Like I let other people go. Always a pleasure. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm getting a little bit of lag.
No problem. Yeah, no, always a pleasure, brother. You are deeply loved by this family, and everybody loves you. I see the comments out there. So, no, you're not
Oh,
alone ever. We are all with you always.
always, and I'm always blasting everybody with some pure white light. Sorry if it knocks you out, but it has to be a certain way, certain times. All right, namaste.
Namaste, brother. Take care. So, that was our own Ray Ray. And he's always wonderful to hear. And I could see from you guys that you love him too. Definitely a dear brother who understands. He's always positive, always has a good energy going. And that's what we have to do. Have a clear picture of the bigger scene that's going on. Because as he's alluding to, the battle is already won. It's just a matter of time and just basically us playing out our parts and staying positive. Because where there's love and compassion, there is God and Source. And it's not so much that we have to call it or him or her by any particular name. That starts to become a human thing, a dogmatic thing. It's really just about the energy. Everything is energy in this universe. Everything is energy. So if your heart and your energy is in the right place, it doesn't matter so much what you're verbalizing. It's more about the love and the compassion that's radiating out of your heart towards all beings. That's what it's all about. And so Ray Ray totally gets that. And so you guys, again, we do have open line if anybody else wants to give a call in. Perhaps somebody that's never called in before. I know some people are shy with that. There's many people in our chat room that I see all the time and yet haven't called in. And I won't say anybody by name. Love matters. Excuse me, I had something stuck in my throat. But I would definitely love to hear some of you guys give a call in and share. And I understand if you're a little hesitant to talk basically in front of others like this. But let's hear what you guys want to talk about. Many, many wonderful people. I mean, every one of you in there is beautiful and full of love and full of positive energy and is accepting, because love is accepting. Love totally doesn't try to change people or control people. It appreciates people. It wants to help people. But it allows people to move at their own pace at the same time. So as we are hit with all these earth changes and everything that's so... Laurel, give a call in. Babbling is fine. Babbling is fine. I babble all the time. As we're getting hit with all these disasters and earth changes we see, we got to stay positive and we have to operate out of love and compassion. And that is so key because it's all about our personal vibration, where we're at personally. And if we allow fear and negativity to get the best of us, then we really are not going to be able to help others as we could. And I see the fifth world is in the house. So you guys, what do you feel like talking about? I know we had one in the chat room that was talking before about the red tide, which is still ongoing. And as I was sharing, one of our sisters who lives in Florida said that it's all the way up now, all the way up into the panhandle, and that's not a good thing. And right away, I think when I see what's going on with all the filth and all the pollution now going into the Atlantic down in the Carolinas, it just feels like, is there no love for this planet from those that are in charge and in control? Hello, my friend, you're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
It's Seth up in Maryland near Baltimore.
Hey, Seth, how you doing tonight?
Good, good. How y'all doing? I just want to call in, get things started off. Hear y'all talking, you know. I wanted to bring up some strange things I've been noticing around my area. The leaves have been falling earlier than usual. Usually leaves around here don't start falling until mid-October. And up in around Ellicott City area, there's already a whole bunch of leaves all over the ground. Most of them are still green, and they look like they have brown splotches on them. It's just weird things. And I've also noticed that the clouds look much different than I've ever seen them in this area. Seem very high up and very thin, and almost misty.
Yeah, the clouds have been crazy, especially those big shelf clouds we're seeing everywhere.
Oh, man. Oh, hell yeah. Crazy stuff, man. And there's another storm forming off the coast of Africa right now, I saw somewhere. Hopefully, I pray to God that don't hit near any of the Carolinas.
No, you know, there's weird things. Like, I mean, you know, the remnants of Florence, they're actually off the Carolinas now again. They're back out in the ocean. They have a 30% chance of coming back in. There's another. I know there's another one that's farther out. It's past Invest 98L, and that one's the one that is, you know, it shows 70% chance of developing into a hurricane. And in normal times, you'd say there's no way in hell it's going to hit the mainland because it's out by, Bermuda. But yet, the forecasts, if you look at the models, it's coming in that direction. Now, usually it'll get swept up and go north, but, you never know the way things are now.
Yeah, you got that right, man. Yeah, I just wanted to call in, get things started. All y'all give a call in. It don't matter what you talk about. Just here to have fun and teach each other things.
Exactly. That's a good way to look at it, Seth.
Well, you all have a nice night. God bless.
You too. God bless, brother. Take care. So that was Seth from Maryland. The weather's bizarre. We can't go by what things used to be. We can't, because everything is just so changed now. And then, as many people say, like Stack was talking about how it's controlled from Antarctica, and we see the mimic waves come out. These are the type of things that you talk about, and honestly, they could get you in trouble if you are a YouTuber. And they have gotten me in trouble multiple times, and I feel like I'm in trouble right now, honestly. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Sorry. My dogs heard your voice and started barking. This is Cindy in Nevada.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to call in first. I wanted to talk about you did 2 Reiki healings on me, and my migraines. I've had migraines for 20 years, and they're gone. And then my daughter, you just did a long distance healing on her, and she was hit by a semi a couple weeks ago, and her insides weren't really healing too quick, and she's doing so good today. And then I wanted to talk about the colloidal silver, but it's just really good stuff. I just mostly I wanted to call in and say thank you.
Aww.
So, you guys have been really super awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Cindy. It's always a pleasure. I love doing that. I think with the channel taking off as it did, it took me away from actually doing energy work where I've worked on thousands of people, energy-wise, and pretty much every continent now but Antarctica. And it's so cool because, people that might not have experienced energy work before, they won't believe. And my own mother is like, she can't understand it. She's like, I know you've had such success, but I just don't understand how it works. And she just doesn't get quantum physics or any of that. but it doesn't matter where we are, because we could actually heal each other from a distance and help each other heal. And distance doesn't matter at all. It's just knowing you can. It's the biggest part of it, and then just basically learning the techniques and how to channel energy.
Yeah, it's the belief system, the belief system, and I don't quite understand it either. But since I'm serious, I had those migraines where you puke, and they were really nasty, and I always had to worry about getting to the doctor in time because you only get like the kind of medicine I was taking to stop the migraines was called Imitrex, and it squeezes your blood vessels in your brain to stop the pounding, and that just doesn't sound very good. And I took that, and then I had to take Klonopin. I don't know why that worked, but it did. But having to get to the doctor every month because you only get like 10 at a time. Their insurance only covers so much, but I'm going on actually like I'm moving into 3 months without medicine now for my migraines, and it's mind blowing for me.
Well,
So
that's beautiful, and I love being able to help. But I think that's part of what Spirit has been telling me, or God has been telling me lately, is don't forget the healing side, because that's who I am first and foremost. And so, I'm definitely going to pay more attention on the healing aspect, and also teaching others too. Because when I was up before in Ohio, before moving to Florida, I was teaching a lot of people, and then the channel took off, and then I really pulled back from teaching. But I figured, I could help people through the videos and try to teach them in that way. But I'm going to do a lot more, one-on-one teaching as well, and it's we have to spread this type of knowledge, and it's as much as anything, it's just knowing you can, but you have to know the basic breathing patterns, things like that, and just running with it, because we all have tremendous ability in us. And see, the thing is that most, and this is what really, this honestly is what gets you demonetized, which does happen. It's not about the pharmaceuticals, because those mostly mask problems. They just kind of get rid of symptoms, where on the energetic level you could actually correct things.
yeah, that seemed to be what happened. Whatever was done was somehow undone and then put into place. And I, out of all the things you helped me with, I didn't have the expectation that my migraines would be gone. I really didn't, because that's not why I called in. It was, called in and made a appointment. It was mostly anxiety and just trying to get my energy straight, just trying to like level everything out, because I knew I'd been through so many things in my life that had some issues. So and then along with it, my migraines are gone. So it just really has me floored. And then and I wanted to talk about our children, because I have a daughter who's really gifted, and she's believes in energy work and energy healing, and she doesn't question it. She hasn't been through society to tell her that that's not true and that can't happen and that's just silly. And when she's 10 years old, and when she puts love and healing into someone, she just seems to naturally know whatever color, and she sends the word love, and in her head she sees block letters LOVE, and she'll put it into the person, and it's quite interesting. And she's been experiencing really strong energies, really strong energy, different things. She sees different things, and I like I said, I don't tell her what she can and can't see. And she talks to me just very open. But the things that's been going on lately with the energy, she said, is much stronger. She's waking up feeling like electric, kind of. And those aren't anything as far as I know, I haven't talked to her about that electric staticky feeling. She just sort of knows, and she can see certain entities, and she said they're coming up. They're like, she sees them more clear, more 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there's any other parents out there who have gifted children, but it can be a little bit scary because normally it goes away by the time the child is 5, and hers just got stronger.
Well,
So-
it does, and a lot of people haven't experienced an energy session. How does it feel? How would you describe how it feels?
Oh, it feels really good. Like you feel brand new. Like you just stepped out of a salon. That one commercial. I mean, when I'm done, I feel really good, and then I can feel the energy swooshing. Do you mean when you do distant healing on me, or?
Right.
Yeah. It feels like I can feel the energy moving in my body. Like if I were a bunch of different colored paint, that maybe you would be swirling me around in a paint can. It just, I can feel it. It's very interesting, and those energies, if they get stronger, our ability to heal, our ability to, I just think everything just seems to be getting stronger, and I'm really wondering what's going to be the peak. What is, at the end of the day, what are we all going to see? What are we all going to witness? What are we all going to know? But I feel things just coming to a head. Yeah.
Well, I know from talking to you about it and your experiences, you're definitely going through a very, very intense period of ascension. So you're really going faster and faster. Your vibrations are speeding up. So this is part of what everybody is doing, but you are somebody that's kind of gifted.
And another thing, before I forget, my intent wasn't really to lose any weight, but I didn't really mean to stop eating, but my appetite has dropped, and I'm at a healthier weight now, and it's like my body is purging itself. It's cleansing itself. So, and I've learned about herbs, and when I was seeing doctors in California, I was probably on good 15 different prescription medications because I did suck in that energy from other people, and I went from California to a little town in Nevada, Beatty, Nevada, and I'm almost completely off of everything. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to throw that in there because my body's doing all the changes on its own. I don't have to make myself go on a specific diet. And then I take a lot of herbs now because I started, instead of prescriptions, I took an herb class, so I know a little bit more about how herbs work in the body. And all the little ailments that they feel more like my body's getting rid of toxins. So I've been working through that with herbs.
That's
beautiful.
Yeah,
everything does seem to be accelerating. It's like day by day.
It is. Yeah, you're a perfect example too, because what you're experiencing is what most people that I talk to that are definitely on this path are experiencing, and they're kind of eating less. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like everybody I talk to, they're going away from the 3 square meals a day type thing with some snacks built in, and it's more like maybe one actual meal and maybe a little bit of something here or there.
I eat cashews. That's my fast food. We don't have any fast food restaurants here. And, I don't like to cook. I hate cooking. So I eat cashews, honey roasted, and that's almost my whole diet, with the exception of the herbs that I take on my own. And I learned with herbs, if you're going to take something, you generally take it until you have the desired effect. And it's a little bit scary. I do experiment on myself because I want to know how to help other people, and this information is just not readily available. You can't go to your local doctor's office and ask how much turmeric do I take, or how much colloidal silver do I drink for this ear infection, or do I put it in my ear? What do I do? They don't know anything. So you're given limited information on the internet, and yeah, I was so sick and tired of doctors. I almost lost my life, and I really feel like my dearest friend Susan, I feel like she did lose her life from being over medicated. Her body just gave out. So I'm definitely doing so much better than I was about 5 years ago. And then knowing that things are going to become scarce, and our medicine is going to go first, I really wanted to head towards the herbs and even know what's in my own yard if we needed it.
Right.
But yeah, that's really sorry. I think I cut you off again. I'm sorry. I'm shy. This is why I didn't want to call in.
No. It's great to hear you calling in. And I was going to just say that I think the last time I took any pharmaceuticals was when I had Lyme's, and that was like 17 years ago. And I did the one round of doxycycline and then stopped, and that was it. So it's been about 17 years since I had any pharmaceuticals, and we don't really. I mean, that's so taboo, in this society, but really.
I watch people like for arthritis. I take a lot of turmeric, and I might take, I don't know, I can take half of a cup of it if I wanted to. I just put it in capsule form, and I think, or even if it's seaweed, seaweed powder, I might take a cup of that, and it might be in capsule form because I make my own capsules. And then I think, well, this seems like a lot of medicine because I look at food now as my medicine, but then again, it's sort of like eating a salad, if you think about it. And I have never had any adverse reactions off of the herbs at all in any way, shape, or form, ever. And with the medications, we're talking about people accidentally dying, all day, every day. And, for the love of money. And it's just sickening. It makes me sad. But it's the truth. And then people are scared. Like, if I talk to someone in the clinic and say, hey, well, why don't you try putting some turmeric on your chicken there? It's the spice. And they're like, oh, what is it for? I'm like, it'll help your arthritis. And they say, oh, no, I have medication for my arthritis. And, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say anything, but it's just mostly to close friends, people I sort of know. But people are so afraid. And they should be. You should have some level of caution if you're going to move to herbs. But not paralyzing fear. You got to weigh the pros and the cons. And that's what I see happening when shit really starts to hit the fan, is a lot of people are going to get sick because they can't get their medicine.
Right.
I'm kind of too shy to get out there and make my own channel and say everything. So I really feel like things are coming closer, and I know that Trump has a not worldwide, I think it's a nationwide text message coming out October 3rd. And it's supposed to hit all of our cell phones. It's like a FEMA-sponsored thing where he'll be able to get through to our cell phones for a presidential emergency alert test. And that's, oddly enough, these things always line up with something, and that's like 7 days before the Feast of Trumpets, from what I understand. So it's always numerology, always lines up with something odd. And then, I watch Naughty Beaver, and I watch a lot of other channels that they know how to read the satellite images, and they point out a lot of things that are around our sun. And, I can't talk to just anybody about this. They might consider locking me up. But, and as far as awakening goes, things just didn't add up. You know, when I was reading the Bible and trying to do all the Bible things and be the good Bible mom who goes to church and Sunday school and all these things, I just kept hitting my head against a wall. Things just weren't working out for me at all. They didn't make any sense. Then I started really searching for some truth, and this is where it's led me. And you know, as far as things making sense, well, to me now everything makes sense. That things aren't so cryptic anymore. And when I see things like the third, well, I take these specific dates, and I really don't care who thinks I'm super crazy. I don't care. I set these dates, and I tell my family members, please don't be in a big town that day, or if you are, please make sure you can get out of town that day. And I give them these dates. You know, watch out for this date, watch out for that date, because I think that's gonna sort of kind of be how it goes. But then again, I don't want to be the prepper who cries wolf too many times either. So I don't know. It's a balance. I think if people want the information, they'll come to you and find it, I suppose. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. And I really wanted to point out your Reiki, because if anyone, and I'm sorry, you know, if anyone needs it, now is a good time, because there's something about it that helps you naturally start to put your life back together. Once you put the energies where they belong, your life, you just start changing it on your own, it seems. So.
Because it works on all levels. You know, as we were showing before in some of the videos, you know, we have multiple bodies. The physical body is just the densest one. It's like the Russian dolls, you know, where there's one body inside the other. And so the physical body is the one right in the middle, but there's so many different layers to us, you know, so many different layers, and the energy works on them all. And so it actually gets to root of the problem in many, many cases. And another client that I was working with today, we've been seeing each other a lot, but really after the second session, you know, the main problem's gone. And it just hit her like a ton of bricks. And, you know, she's great now, but now she wants to learn. She is in that point now where it's like she feels great, so now she wants to learn. So, you know, now I'm starting to work on teaching as well as, you know.
That's great. Because with my migraines, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks too. One day, I'm like, wow, I didn't need to fill my script. You know, they're gone. They're actually gone. And I think some of it was I was a little bit afraid to jinx it for myself and say they were gone, and I thought I'll get one the next day, or say that they're gone and I'll get them the next day. But that has not, and I don't think that's going to happen. They seem to be fixed, and that's huge for my whole family, you know, because I had to work around my migraines. That's how I lived my life, was around whether I have medication to go to town or not, you know, because it's a long drive. It's like 2 hours to get to a good store. But do I have medicine in case I get a migraine from driving? That's how I lived my life. And I don't have to do that anymore. And a lot of those things, you know, when it's such a life change, it does take a little while to add up and then pop in your head, hey, wow, this did happen. And then once it does, you really, that starts to absorb, and then your belief system starts to change a little bit again. And then, yeah, you do want to know more. And I'm just really glad that you're you know, thinking about moving to teach people, because, you know, I think we have a generation that's up and coming that's more open than ever, and needs to be maybe I don't know, corralled might be the politically incorrect word, but what do you call when you want to their focus is in so many directions, and these kids are so curious. We have the ability right now to channel a lot of their energy in a good direction.
Exactly, and so you're talking about the kids, and Tim Who TV says the biggest thing to remember is what you knew as a child. You came with the answers. And I've shared this before, and I just want to share it to you guys again. When it was Christmas and vacation, and I was like 5 years old, just going to school, kindergarten, and you know, I allowed myself to get sick because I did not want to go back to school. I wanted Christmas vacation to last longer, and it hit me. You know, it's like a voice talked to me and said, "Now you do know, you allowed yourself to get sick. You willed this." And it just hit me as like, I did, didn't I? And I don't even know who was talking to me, but it was like me talking to me. Whether it was me, whether it was some sort of guide, an angel, a God, I don't know. But it just came to me, and it was a realization that I allowed myself to get sick. I chose that. You know, it was a choice. And then it happened to me again when I was a teenager, and I had strep throat. And I remember thinking the same thing came through again. It wasn't really a thought. It was like a realization. You allowed this. You chose this. And, you know, it stuck with me. It's just stuck with me. And it's the same thing like when I felt like I was honestly dying after rupturing 2 discs. Then I got a little bit better. And then I got Lyme's just like another year later. I felt like I was not going to make it to this age, you know, and I just felt like I was going to downward spiral. But I decided, no, you know, and that's when I made like a mantra and would recite it every single day, you know, that every day in every single way I'm getting better and stronger, healthier and more powerful. And then also that I'm going to be a force for positive change for the rest of the world in gratitude out of my own healing.
Yeah, that's how I feel. You know, I'm getting to the point where I'm feeling a little bit braver, and that's, again, my belief system has changed, and it's always tweaking. I mean, I'm always growing, learning more, and you know, in it, but I feel also that my belief system is going toward the way of source. You know, who is God? Well, God is source. God is everything. And you know, it's just I can't really go to church anymore because I see folks are really boxed in, you know, because they make the fear, the whole fear thing, and I had to break out of that paradigm myself, out of the fear of, oh, if I am interested in astrology, which I have been all my life, well, I'm gonna go to hell. You know. And that's just so not true, because our ancestors and our ancestors' ancestors, all the way back, you know, they had these things and they used these modalities, and spiritual and physical, I believe, was a lot more connected than it is today. And I just don't like the fear that's in the churches now, and being called a sinner and things like that. And it, you know, and I look at these folks, and it's just, I want to go to my Bible study. I love the ladies there. I love them to pieces. But gosh, I feel like if I speak now without fear, you know, they all change the subject.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, and if you know, if you're able to, by you fixing me is going to help me help my daughter. My daughter, you know, she has a lot of questions. I don't always have the answers. I go the safest answer I can, you know, and but I know that I'm here to help many, many, many people. It's just a matter of getting me lifted up off the ground, you know, letting the healing, you know, soak in, and letting my own learning take place. And then when it's time, it's going to happen. And I'll be ready. When shit hits the fan. If this place is spared, I'm going to be in a position now where I know enough about herbs to hopefully get somebody through one day, and then the next day, and then the next day. And that all comes from opening my mind.
And it won't be just the herbs that you have to in your tool belt, because you know you're definitely energetically gifted. I feel it. And, you know, we had talked before about working together, and I'll definitely work on teaching you as well, because, you know, I know that you have a lot of abilities in you.
And another thing that I learned is my conscience needs to be clear, or I'm really uncomfortable. It's one thing to say like little lies all day long just to get through the day, but lately things really bug me. If I'm not honest with someone, even honest with myself, that's kind of hard to get to sometimes, is honesty in your heart. Talking with your heart, understanding what you're saying, understand what you mean, learning all of that. And I think that, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm rambling now, but there's a point there somewhere. But yeah, and it's just gonna grow. And I hope this doesn't sound cheesy or anything, but my gosh, for the work that you do, the price that you charge, Michael, it's incredible, and I appreciate it so much. And my daughter, like I'll say it again, she was hit by a semi, and luckily she was in a, she was in an avalanche, but still, one of those things hits you at 55, and it's not pretty. I don't, it's scary, and I'm just so damn grateful I'm not looking at caskets. And my daughter's super healthy. She looks so good today. She's like glowing and bouncy, and and we were contemplating to take her into trauma. The first day, I guess your adrenaline kicks in, so you're not in a lot of pain. And she says, I'm fine. Second day, she was a little bit sore. Third day, we're thinking, okay, trauma, and something weird happened. I got sick, and I couldn't go in, and then I think we got you with her the next day. And today she's like doing great, doing great. Minor stuff, but of course, if she needs to, we'll run her straight in right away, because I don't believe in cutting off the doctor either. No, you just gotta listen to your own heart. Use a little bit of common sense, and I don't think it's that hard. Once you open your mind a little bit. So
definitely, and thank you for sharing that so much with everybody too. And I think there's a couple things that are really negatively done by the Western medicine, and one of those things is labels. And the second thing is anybody telling somebody a negative outcome, and just because you really won't want to do that. I mean, some people will say, well, shoot straight, doc, give me the truth.
yeah,
I mean, you do want to know, perhaps, well, typically 70% of the people survive this, or typically whatever it is. But when sometimes, and I've heard it so many times, where doctors will say, you got 3 months or what have you, or they just say it in such a negative way that is so powerful to hit somebody's psyche.
it does.
And if the person really believes that, they might have been ready to hear the doctors say, oh, you're going to be fine. And then they will be fine, because, their signals they're sending to every cell in their body is going to be saying, we're going to be fine. And now all of a sudden the signal that's going to every cell in the body is, we're dying. And so it's so powerful, because each cell is alive. You're a universe. Every person is a universe unto themselves, and we're constantly sending these signals to those things that are living inside our universe, our being. And you could send them a positive signal or a negative signal, and everything works together. It's a symbiotic relationship. Just like we are on the earth. So if we were loving and caring towards the earth, would we be having these earth changes right now?
Oh gosh, well, I believe if we were, we would all be in a safe place, at least. If Earth is going to go, because we would be informed.
Mm-hmm.
So many things wouldn't be hidden. And and speaking of, I just got to say something about Love Matters in there, and she is so awesome. And even her name, Love Matters, it does matter. And part of the reason I just really I didn't get to meet with Love Matters, but hopefully I will. But just saying love matters, and it really, really does. It really, truly does matter. That love, and that's what my daughter, she talks about love, and my daughter believes in the healing power of love. And once you know that, and you just keep telling yourself that every day, and sometimes, you know, and it does help me when I look in the mirror and I say, Cindy, I love you, you're doing good, you know, things are getting better, you're getting better every day. And providing I remember to do it, and it's becoming more and more of a practice, I am getting better every day. I'm feeling better every day. And my 10-year-old, you know, she just looks at me, and whereas so many people would think that I'm, you know, a couple cans shy of a six-pack, my 10-year-old, she's like, I'm normal. This is normal. And she doesn't believe in war. And she says, Mom, you know, if everybody just shared, there wouldn't be any war. You know, and she's right. She's 10. And there's so many things we have to learn from our children. You know, they're here to teach us, I believe, some tolerance and some patience, and pull out that kindergarten sheet that you got when you were little. You know, if you break something, you know, try to fix it. If you take something out, put it back. If you bump somebody, say you're sorry. It's also very simple. And as we get older, things seem to get complicated. And I believe there's a way to unravel that.
It is. And T. Taylor is in the chat room there, and she says you have to program your own DNA. And she is totally right. That is the key. It's what you are telling yourself. It's so key. You know, you could, and I've said this many times, you know, adopt a mantra. Or use an old mantra, you know, because there are many mantras that are very ancient, and the vibrations will go down into our cells and our DNA at a cellular level and change us. But you can also just simply adopt that statement for yourself of what you. There's so many people that talk about this, you know, so many people that are out there, and this, you know, movement basically of affirmations. There's so much power in affirmations, tons of power in affirmations. And we have to say that to ourselves, to our body, and it will change. You know, we can achieve amazing things. You know, do you think, and I always like bring up Michael Jordan because, you know, and I'm an old guy from a different age. But do you think he ever visualized himself missing? You know, he always saw himself, you know, sinking the shot right as the buzzer's ringing. You have to know that you can. You have to see it, have to believe it. And then when you think that, then you'll be amazed. And, you know, I don't lift like I used to in the gym because I used to lift really, really heavy. But I'm not a big guy. You know, I'm like 5'11" and 170, 175. But even at this weight, you know, 175, 180, just a couple of years ago, I was still able to push 500 pounds on a bench press, you know, which it's not, but it wasn't the muscles. Honestly, I think I was cheating. It's because I know I could energetically. And so that's not an important thing at all, but it's just that knowing. And as I've talked to you guys before, and I want to do some more in-depth videos on QiGong and understanding energy work, the power all comes from our third eye area. But at first, you got to basically wake it up. So you have to stir the kundalini that's at the base of the spine, draw it on up into the heart area, into your middle dantian, and then from there, once it's full there, it'll rush up into your third eye area, and then everything will change. And it feels as if the entire top part of your head opens up and energy just flows right through it. And that's when you could really affect tremendous change in things. Tremendous.
Yeah. When you know, with the third eye opening, I think that can happen on many different levels. I've had people ask me about that. When I was little, I could see dead people quite well. You know, I had my own friends and stuff, and then the only reason I knew that I could see them was because I was asking my dad, "Hey, where did my friends go?" And my dad says, "Well, those were your imaginary friends, sweetheart. They never existed." But yes, they did. For me, they did. I knew they did. They were always there. And then I don't know, when I was like 10 or so, they vanished. But where was I going? Oh, okay. So you don't always, for me anyway, I don't necessarily need to see physical things for a third eye opening. Thank you. You know, it's the knowing, it's the belief. Again, back to the belief system. It is my wisdom, my knowledge, my understanding, my heart, my love. You know, for all things. That to me is another way of opening that third eye, or at least definitely the beginnings of it is your belief. And not sure where I was going with that either, but you know, if people aren't seeing things, well, you don't necessarily need to, and maybe on some level you might not be ready to, but I know from younger and from my daughter that there's definitely, we're surrounded by different beings, and they are different, and they're looking different, because she draws me pictures of them, and she calls some of them angel goblins, and you know, some are kind of white with long wispy hair. They're quite tall, and sometimes she can feel that they're bad, and sometimes they just startle her or scare her. But they're definitely becoming more prevalent, and my energies are picking up also. You know, and I think some of that's from the healing, and some of that's just naturally, it's just going to come back in. The energies are so high and a little bit chaotic that we're all going to be touched in some way. I just hope it spreads out to the point where if you're in a grocery store, you don't feel like an alien, like you're talking Chinese if you say something about the third eye, or if you say something about a tarot card reading, or if you talk about astrology. I'm hoping that day isn't too far away, where people won't think that you're, you know, practicing witchcraft and you're evil if you talk about those things.
Right. And it depends on where you are right now. So, you know, certain areas, certain parts of the country, certain parts of the world, you know, are more progressive than others. So it really depends on where you're at. But on the whole, I think people are waking up for sure. They definitely are waking up. More and more people are coming online with this and understanding it. And it's pretty amazing because it feels like it's changing rapidly to me.
Yeah, me too. It seems like I see a marked difference every day. And one more thing, and then I'm gonna have to. I gotta go feed my children. But one more thing, I just wanted to throw in with the colloidal silver. That now, this is a little bit personal, but you know, I'm treating a urinary tract infection with the colloidal silver right now, and it's working so well, and you know, that can be used on ear infections, eye infections. You know, and I'm not saying that you move to it, but if you're unsure about it, grab a bottle of it, learn a little bit. You can probably get it at a drugstore, I hope, but have it on hand, because it's so good for infections that if normally we would go and get a bottle of antibiotics from the doctor, you know, keep doing that. But if it's like a small infection or something minute, try the colloidal silver. Maybe start building some trust in Mother Nature, and go from there. Because yeah, I'm really worried about the medicine situation.
Yeah,
So,
very very much so. Because you know, when it goes down, it goes down.
yep,
And
that's right.
everything is going to change.
It is, and it's gonna be a little fast and very ugly, in my perspective. Yeah. So, but I gotta go, Michael. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I'm glad you called in. So good to talk to you, Cindy. Much love.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye. So that was our own Cindy, and a great call covering many, many different items on there. So many things. You know, you got to be ready now for when the grid goes down, because it does feel like it's close. And it might not be the permanent grid going down, but it does feel like we're close to it. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Hey, brother. My name's Harry. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Terry?
I'm doing good. Talking about energy, I was listening to you, and something that got me into just looking at energy, and then leading me closer to your channel was I was on scene of someone who had passed away. They died, and they were flatlined. Do you know much about cardiac rhythms?
Somewhat.
Okay. Well, there's a normal sinus rhythm, and it's what you see on TV, that all those little bleeps look sort of like neat little scribbles. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Well, this guy was flatlined, and his wife of 50 years was in the room with him, and I told her to go give him a kiss. You know, he's gone, and say goodbye while somewhat is still there, or, you know, trying to be nice.
Mm-hmm.
And she went up and gave him a kiss, and then his heartbeat sort of came back on my monitor. And he went into like a normal sinus rhythm, and she gave him a hug, and it sped up, and then she walked away, and it went right back to flatline. And always since then, I've started looking closer at the possibility of energies and all that. And I don't know, I just think it's really neat. It's a cool concept that sadly Americans aren't privy to.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to it. I've talked to quite a few people that have actually been on the other side and come back, and you know, two of them recently. One of them is actually a neighbor now here, and she's been on the other side 3 times that she feels, twice that's been documented, and you know, what they say is always similar, you know, very, very similar. They initially watch everybody, what everybody's doing, and then they have this feeling of almost being embraced in just this perfect, blissful embrace of pure love and compassion. And
Sounds beautiful.
it is, yeah, it's not fearful, it's not judgmental, it's not, you know, no condemnation, anything like that. It's just, you know, beautiful. And I do have one video on one of them, and I'm hoping to do a video on the other one. There's,
Can you hear me?
yeah, it needs to be shared, you know, that, you know, there's definitely, life continues, you know, and when people, especially when people first pass on, they're very close, you know, and they're seeing everything that's happening. You know, they know.
I agree. I agree. I also ran one where a lady was on the floor, and I walk in, and my partner just feels her pulse and no pulse, and her daughter walks in crying, and we start working, you know, her mom, and she said that her mom stood up and looked over in the corner and saw her mother, who had been dead for many years. She saw basically her grandma, but her mom, and she smiled and then collapsed. And I sadly couldn't get her back either, but it sounds like she saw something happy and beautiful before she fell. And it's weird. Science, all of my classes in every school that I've ever taken, you know, they're always, oh, it's the brain playing tricks, this, that, and the other. But the more we start looking at like D-wave and quantum, and our brain is seemingly one big quantum computer wrapped in a galaxy and amongst just a whole bunch of other galaxies, like just all together. And I think there's something just so amazing to that the atheist mind just doesn't want to see. It's almost like they don't want to grasp it. They don't want to look at it because they'll have to look at themselves.
Right.
And I don't know. It's just it's sad. It makes me feel sad for those people that are walking around that lonely. That makes sense.
Totally, and thank you for sharing that, because it needs to be said, and it's true. I think that they try to dissuade us from the spiritual side of things, and really, you know, we are spiritual beings just having a physical journey here, and our home is not here. Our home is on the other side. So there's really nothing to fear about going home.
I agree. It's beautiful, but it's nice to finally actually talk to you. I go by OPNG in there. If you've ever, I think you've been on my page once or twice. But,
Oh, yeah, I do know you, brother, and much love and much respect for everything that you're doing.
oh, thanks, man. I appreciate y'all. It's a great family. I stay anonymous predominantly, and I don't know. I gave my first name, but I still work on the street as a paramedic, and then also I'm still in the military, so I've got to be a little anonymous just because it is what it is. Nowadays, we're supposed to have freedom, but that seems to be going.
I agree. I agree. I wrestle with that every day, because I want to scream out about how it is disappearing, but at the same time, if I scream too loudly, nobody will be able to hear me anymore. Because it will. I mean, that's where we're at. It's at that point now. So, I do totally appreciate what you're doing. I've got a lot of friends. I got several really close friends that are paramedics, and I know it's a really tough thing to do. It takes a very special person.
Well, you too, man. You touch a lot of people's lives, and that's very awesome. It's really hard to walk around and not be judgmental. The world wants to create a ball of judgmental in all of us, and it's hard to break through that. And seeing people that have and that are helping others do that it's very beautiful. So I wanted to call and say thanks.
Well, thank you, my friend, and it's a pleasure to talk to you in person.
Nice talking to you too. I'll keep listening. Talk to you later.
Yep. Take care.
Bye.
So that was Hopi NG. Very cool. NG. He's awesome. Check out his channel. Check out the Fifth World's channel. Subscribe to the Fifth World. Check out Gordon. Gordon is not only full of love, but he's actually a talented musician. Please go check out Gordon's channel and subscribe to Gordon's as well. T. Taylor, another one. You got to check it out and subscribe as well as Hopi NG. He's also definitely a brother. A really good person. And it takes a lot to be a paramedic, honestly, and to see people passing on in front of you every day. And speaking of a very special person. Hello, my brother.
Hey, got through. Nice. How's it going, my brother?
Good. How are you, Netsaya?
I'm doing okay. I'm actually had to do some traveling, and first of all, I hope everyone's going okay on the EEA world, the Evolutionary Arts family world. But anyhow, I'm traveling, and I'm in the how can I put this? On the stage of saying goodbye to my grandmother.
Oh.
So tonight, I would like to talk about death. I'm not sure where this is going, but what comes out of you from this?
Please do, brother. And I'm sorry to hear that. And I could feel your energy. Could sense it right away. And you have our love and our prayers, because you are so appreciated here in this family.
Thank you, brother. It's pretty odd that right in front of me, I see oddly enough, it's pretty strange, but a black and white American flag, a real black and white American flag flying in front of my home, the home that I'm in right now. I'm outside, and oddly enough, next to that, there's a basketball court with the blue, the white, red, and blue, the blue, red, white, and blue. However you want to put it, I can't even think right now. But I guess I am being directed to, as odd as it may sound, be a little less American and more playful with the basketball hoop that's in front of me. So with that in mind, that has been my point with a lot of family members here right now. Is no one really wants to let her go, and it would be understandable if she was like 87 years old or so, but she's 100. And she just recently had a fall going to the bathroom. She woke up and didn't want to bother anybody, so she wanted to do it on her own. And on the way back is when she missed her footing and tripped and fell and hit her head. And actually had some stitches, and there was blood actually went into her brain and all that. She was in intensive care unit, and I understand that this is the grandmother I sometimes mentioned. That's a Yaqui Indian, very powerful, strong. Heroine of love and light, and you can tell that she voiced it herself that she didn't want to die there, And you can tell that her spirit allowed her body to get healthy enough to beat the ICU. And I mean, if anybody of you know up there that have family members that have been to ICU, it's very difficult to get out of there, in one piece, in the sense that, most people end up there, and most of them end up dying, that's intensive care unit. But her at 100 was able to get her body well enough to make the doctors believe that she's okay to be out of the ICU, and they actually allowed her to come home. This was a Saturday when she got injured, and she was allowed to come home on Tuesday. So, and she clearly said that she just wants to pass away here at one of my cousins that she grew up with. They consider her her daughter, and she clearly stated that she wanted to, die at that couch there. But the point is everybody's having a hard time letting her go, and I'm trying to let everybody know, like, to me, this is, so beautiful. Oh, and one thing this is why I'm bringing this up. Okay, one thing she shared with us was that she didn't. This is how beautiful it was. She said she didn't want us, when she does pass, she didn't want us to cry, and this is how she voiced it. She said that because if we cry, our tears these are not tears, these are feelings of joy. But you said our tears would have weighed down her dress, and it would be difficult for her to ascend. She said that. It was so beautiful.
That is beautiful.
And it's hard to keep it in, and I'm not crying because I feel sorry, I feel bad. I accept this, but it's just, I'm just in awe, how beauty comes out of death. Because she hasn't really been there, it's just her body is literally pumping at an abnormal rate, almost like a robot. It's weird. She's not there. She's just waiting for a few more family members, and then, her body will come back in and open up her eyes and say her last goodbyes, and that's it. But it's weird. I feel the peace, but no one else does. It's weird.
Yeah, I understand, brother. I understand. She understands. She's seeing both sides now.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, but yeah, definitely one thing we must understand is the great Charlie Chaplin once said, we must laugh at the face of our helplessness or go insane. Him growing up, he had a mother that was an actress, singer. She was very popular and famous, and she couldn't accept aging. And after she was being casted less, she couldn't accept that, and she started going crazy that why couldn't they love her like they used to when she was aging, once she wouldn't get casted for certain parts that needed a younger woman or whatnot. And eventually she couldn't accept that her brain just went into, I guess, maybe, dementia. This is the last thing I want to close off with is I'm being led towards bringing to awareness to everybody that pretty soon we're gonna experience a big, huge volume of dementia, in a sense, even in young people, from all these energies that are happening, and that's what's gonna make it very difficult for a lot of people. But as far as right now, it's some of you might want to get a little closer to your elders, whether well, they're still here,
Definitely.
But she's going to the fifth dimension, so it's all good.
It's all good. It's all good. Thank you
Thank you so much for allowing this opportunity for me to share this and release this with you all. And, I hope you guys find the light within every darkness that you may face. It is worth it. It's worth the fight. It really is.
Well, thank you for sharing, and thank you for sharing, this very, very intimate thing with us.
You still there, brother?
Yep, still here, bro. Thank you for.
Hello?
Can you hear me,
Check
Netsaya?
1, check 2.
Can you hear me still? I think we're losing Netsaya.
Hello? I mean, I'm not sure what happened, but maybe I'll hold or something.
No, can you hear me?
But thank you for listening. If you're still listening, and I'm having a much better time now all of a sudden that I had that little situation there. I feel silly, and that's the key. To going into the fifth dimension is must become as children. Love you all. One love, one light. Put together our light will shine much brighter. Peace. Namaste, all.
Namaste, brother. Thank you for sharing.
Yep, thank you. I finally heard you back. All right, have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care. Namaste. So that was Netsaya, and he's obviously going through a lot there with the transition of his grandma. And 100, that's an amazing age to achieve. And he's an amazing person. He's so full in love and light, always sharing, always wanting to pull everybody up. Absolutely love that guy. He is just a blessing to have in our family. And I want to thank him so much for sharing with us all that. So how are you guys doing out there? Think about how cognizant she is too, to realize that she's ascending. And it's pretty clear really when you're around people that are passing and you see them going in and out. I don't buy for a second that's just chemical reactions in the brain. They're jumping between dimensions. They're seeing what's on the other side and then coming back. And I've shared with you guys that I, basically was in the retirement industry, and I was a manager of retirement communities. And I've seen many people that I've loved pass on to the other side and been there and experienced it. And it's not going off into oblivion at all. Not at all. Quite the opposite. It's almost like waking up. So, you guys, we got time for one more caller. Anybody else out there that want to give a call in and share? Wonderful calls tonight. As always, we have such wonderful people in this family. Amazing, amazing people. Such shining stars out there. So much love out there. Goodwill. It's a wonderful thing, and it's a beautiful thing. It's absolutely wonderful to feel the support of a family like that. Absolutely. Stack says once he goes, he's not coming back. Sometimes you're told to come back, even though you don't want to come back. And I've heard that from both the ladies that I talked to recently. They were told they had to come back. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Hey, good evening, Michael. This is Old Earth Alchemy. How you doing?
Good. How you doing tonight?
Good. To all the callers that just called in, very personal stuff. Respect to you all. Hope you all, get through it. I'm sorry to hear about lady's caller that called about her daughter getting hit by the semi. That, Godspeed to that healing, and to the last caller, you can make it through it, man. You got a lot of people supporting you. But I was kind of wanting to take my conversation to more of a sort of weird, more like woo-woo world, and just sort of like the bigger spectrum of cycles and ages, and taking that conversation down to Antarctica.
Sure. Definitely. Always an interesting topic.
So yeah, I guess I'll start off by saying, yeah, I'm researching megalithic sites for a while now, and yeah, I just kind of got to a point where I was like questioning origins and like the true antiquity of some of these things and ages, and sort of looking into stories and lore and other books and sources, and started peeking around this one island called Kerguelen Island, also known as the French and Southern Antarctic Islands. And man, there's some very interesting stuff on there. It's also known as Desolation Island. And yeah, there's like, I don't know, just a lot of evidence of foundation work. And it's, I don't know, personally I do building, stuff like that, so I kind of just have an eye for like, layout of city structure and architecture and things like that. As I'm like scanning over this island, I just see a bunch of things like that. And yeah, I don't know. Basically, there's a lot of evidence that would suggest that there's been, I don't know, like a lot of intelligently designed, extremely ornate cities and just weird parts of the world. And I think, just also the nature of this island is one of those places, kind of near Antarctica, where it only maybe has about 100 people a year staying there. And yeah, I mean, just like the nature of humans, I feel like we just like to go places and, open a hotel, do this, sponsor that. Like, I don't know, it's just, I feel like it's very much in human nature to like capitalize on land. And yeah, for some reason, it's just one of those areas that's very, secluded and recluse, and there's not many photos. And yeah, I think sometimes we just gotta look to the lack of information sometimes for also information as well, if you know what I mean. But I guess one of the last things I also sort of point out is, so if there are past ages, maybe these really old ages would be that time of giants, and the architectural structure is rather large as well. And right now I've also been noticing, I don't know if y'all are hip to the idea of, preemptive programming and just anything that's sort of in the media is sort of telling you what's maybe going to happen, or soft disclosure about certain information. And I've kind of noticed a lot of stuff about giants coming out, and like giants coming down from icy places. Adventure Time did this whole series about, islands and giants coming from islands, and there's some new kids movie coming out that's about giants ascending from Arctic regions. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot of, some sort of veil there that's potentially like beginning to come through as all this sort of energy rises with everything. I think there is something to be said about like reawakening of like past ages and the evidence of that sort of stuff. And yeah, taking time to, I don't know, ponder the cycle of things. And yeah, I don't know, but that's just one small aspect of the stuff I've been looking into. And I don't know if anyone's hip to that sort of stuff, but it's interesting to look into. I don't know, just to get a wider perspective on what goes on the planet.
It's all fascinating. I mean, there's so much that's been hidden from us, and I think one of the things that really hit me was that as a kid, the world's magical, right? And it's just magical, and there's magic in every little thing. And then all of a sudden it gets drummed out of you, and you're told there's no magic, and there's no imaginary friends and all this. And then as you start learning, you start to realize, maybe the world is kind of magical. Maybe it's more magical than they're letting us know. And maybe all those things that we felt instinctively as a kid are actually kind of real, but they're just drumming it out of our head. And maybe in the past, there were things like dragons and giants, and who knows what, the real term would be. We don't really know, but we see a lot of things that are just completely anomalous with the history that we've been told, that don't make any sense. The Piri Reis map, how did they know the actual, layout of Antarctica below the ice sheet? how do they know that? And all these legends of Antarctica, and it goes past that. I mean, of Atlantis, and it goes way past that, because when you look at all the legends, the history that we've been told is not what probably happened at all. So much has been hidden from us. So much of the reality has been hidden from us. And there's really, so many things all around us all the time on different dimensions even, that we've been told to block out, and have been blocked out from us, because, we have fluoridated water, and, as well as just so many other things that are hitting us all the time, and, keeping our pineal glands from being fully active, because it's a way to keep us in a limited scope and a limited field of vision. It's like we have tunnel vision. They put basically these blinders on you so that you only see exactly what they want you to see right in front of you, and everything else just kind of goes away. And then yet we see scientifically that all these things, I'm older, so I was born in 65, and grew up in the 70s and 80s, and so much of what we were taught then scientifically has been found to be not true. It's like it was off.
Yeah. It's happening all the time. It seems like too, as well.
Yep.
And and I would even say, as far as like building methods and stuff like that, over time sort of degrade, as far as I don't know. We're always told things are progressing in a way that is seemingly always optimal, but for instance, these ruins that we're talking about, are still lasting way longer than the building that was maybe built, 50 years ago or 30 years ago. So there's something to be said about, what the system tells us about, like, what is right and what is the story. And I was kind of thinking about the wording of that as well. History as opposed to stories. The stories do always seem more interesting. Like, when you're a kid and, you hear these stories that are like, quote unquote, fairy tales, but it's like, wow, that seems cool. And you see a mountain range and it's like, that looks like somebody that fell over, and, there's a bunch of trees growing on them. And, maybe that magic is true. And those stories are the truer, piece. And then, but as soon as it's his story and you put the his in front of it, it becomes a shaped version of a story. It's his, like one version story, his story, or, as opposed to, a story, which is more cool and magical and less, I don't know, one-sided.
Yeah, and that's exactly, one person was just touching on this in the chat room, talking about we have to view things like a little child. And that's so true, because, I'm in a new spot. I'm out in the middle of the woods pretty much. And I feel, especially like yesterday, I was just basically sitting out there and just watching, like ants go by, and then noticing a caterpillar, and then noticing different spiders. And it just hit me as to, like, look at all this life around me everywhere. And you know what? I haven't done this since I was a little kid. Just sat down and just noticed all the life walking around me. And we don't do that anymore, so we have to go back to being a child and seeing the world through child's eyes to start to realize just how magical it is, and everything that's going on all around us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm a millennial, so I'm one of those people. I'm like, I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. I still feel like I'm a kid, but so I feel absolutely encourage the practice, of
Well, I could relate to that. I didn't know until I was 47. Honestly, I didn't know until I was 47. And when they asked me as a little kid, like, God, I don't know, second grade, everybody's like, fireman, policeman, astronaut. I don't know, and then they asked me in junior high, how about placement classes that you're going to take in high school? I don't know. High school, get ready for college. What do you want to be? I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't even know until I was 47 years old. And then all of a sudden, a friend told me what my gift was. And then it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. And it wasn't even me finding out. I had to be kind of, have somebody point it out to me. And then I finally realized it.
It's awesome to have good friends like that.
Definitely.
Good part about having multiple of us, I guess, and the good ones that will tell you stuff like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, heck yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to take up the show, much longer, but yeah, I appreciate you lending an ear to some of the stuff I've been looking into. Because yeah, like you were saying earlier with someone else, like yeah, sometimes when you begin to shout certain information, no one wants to listen, and sometimes go around and try and share stuff with people, and like, all right. So appreciate you taking the time to hear some of the stuff and give it back and forth.
Oh, my pleasure. Always call in again and join us again and share again. It's just an unfolding. It's all an unfolding, and we're all sharing with each other. And sometimes things might be said, and you might not even register it now, but then a half hour later, it'll click. So you bring it up Antarctica, it might send somebody else off, and then tomorrow morning they see something in Antarctica and it gets them thinking, and then it gets them going down this other train of thought that might lead to a personal revelation. So you never know, where these things could lead.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah, we're planting seeds all the time, being unintentional teachers all the time, or even if you mean it or not, even if you're acting a fool or if you're articulating things in a beautiful manner sometimes, just being mirrors for one another, I guess.
That's it. Yes, being there for each other and supporting each other as best we could.
Yes. Beautiful, excellent. Well, have a good evening, everyone. Have a good evening. Time's crazy, but, I don't know. I think it's all only getting more interesting as we go along. So, it's a beautiful ride, and glad to be here with you all.
Well, glad you joined us, and yes, it is. And we must enjoy the ride, even though it's a pretty wild one.
Yeah, throw our hands up in there a little bit, go, woo!
That's all, right?
All right. Well, good evening. Buenas noches.
Okay, buenas noches, amigo. Hasta luego.
See ya.
Take care. Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
So that was a very good call as well. Lots of interesting calls tonight. It was definitely a very interesting show. Thank you all for joining me again. And let me just check. Okay, I was just checking my phone just to see what day we're on, because I don't even know what day we're on half the time, honestly. I always notice what's happening in the world, but not necessarily notice what day. So it's Saturday. So we're definitely going to be live on Tuesday, and possibly once before that, but definitely on Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. And please do, as always, guys, thumbs up on the videos. Check it out. They're playing games again, because it's so crazy how you could go from 20-something thousand views to like 4,000 views. And then just seeing the comments too, it's like there's just like a lack of comments, but yet the number of subscribers keeps increasing at the same pace. So, what can you say? It is what it is, but what matters is the love we share and the knowledge we share with each other. That is really what matters. And at some point, we're going to lose the grid. We know that. So we got to basically stay in tune with each other in one way, shape, or form. And we will do that, whether it's just heart to heart and energetically. But right now, let's enjoy this technology while we have it. So light and love, guys. Peace. May you always be blessed with abundant peace, love, health, well-being, and all good things. Namaste, my friends. God bless.